Good morning, everybody. So, Fallout 76 has just launched its biggest DLC, and it has introduced one of the biggest changes to the game since I'd honestly say the Battle Royale mode. That, of course, is Wastelanders. But how is Wastelanders? Well, I didn't get to play too much of it, only about a couple hours or so last night on stream, but I wanted to make this video talking about my first impressions, and I ended up getting some feedback from my chat on whether or not this is something that would bring them back to Fallout 76 if they stopped playing, or get them to buy it altogether. So, without further ado, let's look at Fallout 76 Wastelanders. These are my first impressions. Alright, so what exactly is Wastelanders? Well, for those of you who don't know or haven't been paying attention, Wastelanders is the DLC that introduces human NPCs and dialogue choices to Fallout 76, something that has been absent since launch. But it's a little more than that. It introduces a bunch of new little fixes and additives that kind of flesh out Fallout 76 as a whole. And what do I mean by that? Well, for one, map markers got updated, so now you see all your quest objectives on the map, whether they're active, optional, main, so that's nice. On top of that, you get, like I mentioned before, dialogue options, which I'll get into a little bit later on in the video. Now, the main thing about the dialogue options is they've gone back to the Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3 version of dialogue trees. So instead of having a 4-button choice, you have a list of options you could choose from, which I personally think is great. Other things they've added are they've placed NPCs in pre-existing areas to kind of flesh out the area a little bit more and give you a little bit more backstory and detail. And that's where we're going to start. So when you boot up Wastelanders, you get brought to the title screen and it tells you all the news that happens. So it's a big announcement that Wastelanders is out, and then there's a little announcement about the bundles that they're launched with it. Yes, they want more money from you. So the thing with these bundles is I actually had a little trouble getting to them. So when you log in, it tells you that there's new bundles to get. The Settler bundle, the Raider bundle, or you can get both of them in one package for a cheaper price than buying both of them separately. Okay, now I'm playing on PlayStation 4. So I went to the PSN store, they weren't there. I went to the Atomic Shop, they weren't there. Now mind you, I had already installed the update for Wastelanders, so I could already play all the content. On the main screen it says go to the fallout.com and you'll be able to purchase them there. I said okay, and this was at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I have people in my Discord that can vouch for me. I went there after the update's already live, and I went to Fallout.com, I clicked buy now, and it was like, have you played 76 before? I said, yeah, show me what's new. And it showed me the bundles, but there was no PlayStation 4 icon. Now, I don't know if this was something because it technically wasn't rolled out yet, I don't know, but for almost all day there was no PS4 icon until I streamed. So I picked up the Wastelanders Settler bundle and kind of took it from there. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the price point. Now, Wastelanders is free entry if you have Fallout 76. If you have Fallout 76 for Bethesda.net and you want to switch to Steam, they're doing a free transfer. I think they extended the date than their original, time gate. But other than that, if you don't have Fallout 76, the base game runs you about $30, $40, depending on, your platform where you get it. This is based off of everything on Bethesda's website and Fallout76.com, or Fallout.com, I'm sorry. But they have bundles. Now, what do I mean by bundles? Well, there's the base game, which is just Fallout 76. You'll get Wastelanders, Nuclear Winter. You'll get all the updates that have come along since then, the Pioneer Scouts, the Sheep Squatch, all that fun stuff. Or you can get Fallout 76 Wastelanders Deluxe Edition. Now, all the Deluxe Edition is remember those two bundles I told you about earlier? the Raider and the Settler bundle, yeah, those are just bundled in for, again, a cheaper price than buying everything separately. So if you're interested in Wastelanders and you didn't even buy Fallout 76 to begin with, that may be a route you want to go in. But enough about all of that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what Wastelanders actually is. When you log into Fallout 76, you'll get a new quest objective telling you to head back to Vault 76 because some strangers have showed up. And this is our first introduction. Now, technically my first introduction was listening to the radio because now there's a disc jockey. Again, something that wasn't there before. So I freaked out on stream. I was like, oh my god, we got an NPC, we got a disc jockey, ah! And then I went to Vault 76, which is what you're seeing on screen now. So you get to Vault 76, you walk down the stairs and you see two settlers, and immediately they start dialogue with you. And that's essentially the biggest change. Is there's NPCs, there's people in the wasteland now, and you can talk to them. You can have interactive conversations that don't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, question, agree, disagree, snarky but still agree. No, you can actually talk to them and they'll tell you a lot of things. And you can kind of be an asshole right off the bat. I noticed throughout my play session that I could kind of strong arm anybody I came across. Not that it would necessarily work, but it was a speech option all the time. So that was neat. So you talk to them and you kind of ask them what's going on. So now Wastelanders takes place canonically 1 year after the story of Fallout 76. So the vault's been open for a year, and you can either play this as a new character or a returning character. Because I'm technically still playing through the vanilla story because I never beat it, I'm still considered fresh out the vault. So you can ask them about the Overseer, and you can ask them why they're here. And they tell you that they're here because there's apparently rumors of treasure, and everyone from out east came back to Virginia, or West Virginia, I'm sorry. Everybody out east came back to West Virginia to find this treasure. And this is the first time we're hearing of it. So you talk to them and they point you into the direction of the Wayward, which is a new bar that has opened up right outside the Overseer's camp. So you head over to the Wayward and you meet the next batch of NPCs. And this is where it starts to feel like a typical Fallout game. I don't want to say old Fallout, but like a typical Fallout game. So you walk into the Wayward, there's a standoff going on, and you're immediately thrown into the conversation, and it gives you plenty of dialogue choices. Now, the big change, the big difference from old Fallout games and this one in terms of dialogue is how your speech check works. So typically in old Fallout games, your speech checks were based on perks, your special levels, kind of, in a way. So like if you had high speech, that was a speech check, and you had to have speech 80 out of, you know, you would have a minimum of 70, and if you had 70 or above, you'd pass your speech check. Anything below, you'd fail it. Well, it's a little different here. All your speech checks are tied to a special stat. So you could have a strength check, you could have a perception check, you could have a charisma check, a luck check, an intelligence check, an endurance check, an agility check, and it's all based, and you have to have a minimum of points allocated to that special. If you have, let's say, strength 4, and the speech check requires strength 5, it won't even let you pick it. It'll be red, and every time you click it, nothing will happen. But if it's, let's say, strength 3 and you have strength 5, you can choose that option and you'll be able to progress the dialogue and open up new options, possibly get some new rewards out of it. So that's the main change, and I actually think that's really cool because it allows people to have different builds and still do different speech checks. Like back in the day, it was like, yeah, it was science, speech, charisma, barter, things like that. But now, say you have a melee build. Say you don't play with your friends, so you put no points in charisma because you didn't want any of the perk cards. So you build a whole build built on strength and endurance. You'll have options where strength comes up, and because you have those high points, you'll be able to progress further in that dialogue option than someone who, say, builds an intelligence and agility build. So I think that's really cool. It really allows the player to not be shoehorned into a specific build. So essentially what happens is you talk to the bar owner, Duchess, You talk to her friend Mort, who gives you some holotapes to kind of catch you up to speed on how to build a camp and stuff if you're a new player, or if you just want a refresher. And they're actually really funny to listen to. So if you haven't done them, I suggest you do them, because they're just fun little things to listen to. And you go on this quest line. They send you to build something at your camp. Then they send you on a hunt to get rid of a new faction in Appalachia. So the free radicals were mentioned previously, but now you actually see them. Now they've shown up. Now they have a little settlement up to the north by the fairgrounds. And this initial quest line kind of brings you up to them, and it kind of starts building on the story of the hidden treasure. This is why people are back, and you have to find a way to deal with the free radicals, or, you know, you could kill them, or you could try to negotiate with them. There are optional objectives in all your quest lines if you want to progress further, if you want to take a different route. So they really kind of flesh out this quest line, at least at the start, which I like. So another thing they've done is they've almost modified existing locations. So for example, I went to the Gali Mines as part of the quest towards the end of my stream, and when I got in there, it was the same for the most part. However, when you get into the under part of the mine, where the storage door is, there's a hole there. If someone had come in there recently and started digging, and you can actually get some gold ore, which is really cool. And when you open the storage door, there's a hole in the wall. And the hole in the wall now requires a key card to get in. I don't know if that's a quest line and it's a quest item to get into that door. I don't know if I just couldn't find the key card, but I searched all through the mine and I couldn't find anything. So I'm interested to see in how other areas in the game and other locations have evolved because of all these settlers and all the raiders coming back to Appalachia. But other than that, I did get a chance to fight some of the new enemies, the irradiated earthworms, and I've got some footage for that rolling right now in the B-roll. And they're, you know, I was up by my camp, and then all of a sudden 2 super mutants spawned, 2 of these earthworms spawned, and you know, I was in a pickle. But the new enemies look really cool. I haven't seen too many others. Like I said, this is mainly just a first impressions video. This isn't so much an in-depth look because I haven't gotten to play a lot of it. But at the end of my stream, I asked my chat this. From what they saw of the 3 hours of Wastelanders, is it enough to bring them back to Fallout 76? And they said yeah. And then I asked those who hadn't played Fallout 76, is Wastelanders enough to make you consider buying Fallout 76? And people said yeah. So what are my thoughts on it? Here's my takeaway. Wastelanders, at least from what it seems, is breathing new life into Fallout 76. Between the NPCs, the dialogue options, the evolving locations, there are new perk cards, which I didn't get a chance to mention. There's a new weapon type. The bow is in the game, so the perk cards are associated to that. There's a reputation system, instance locations. There's a lot of stuff I didn't even get to touch because I didn't play too long of it. But I'm genuinely excited to play Fallout 76 now because it feels like a Fallout game. And I made a video before, which I'll link up in the card, about how if you just try and play Fallout 76 like a typical Fallout game, minus the NPCs, it's not that much different, which was true. But now that there are NPCs, it feels more like a Fallout game. And I think people will really be able to appreciate that. So do I think you should pick up Fallout 76? If you're interested, and you've already bought it and you put it down for the year it's been out, yeah. I think it's worth downloading the update and coming back to the wild, wild Appalachia. Is it worth buying new? When it comes to a question like that, my answer is always the same. How much do you like the franchise? How interested are you in the game? Is this something that you feel like you'll get a lot of mileage out of? Yeah, the game's cheap, but the game still costs some money. I was excited for it, and I'm glad I came back. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Have you returned to West Virginia to strike a deal with the settlers or the raiders? Or are you still just going to wait until Fallout 5 and pray that Bethesda gets it right this time? In any case, I want to thank you for tuning into today's video. If you liked it, feel free to hit the like button. If you want to see more, feel free to hit the subscribe button. And until next time, don't forget, there's nothing wrong with being average. I'll see you then.